All right, Shalom. Giving all praises, honor, and glory to our power, Yahweh. Shalom, Yahweh Shah, Shalom, Kodash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect of the tabernacles of David. Scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, and wherever you may be, to I say Shalom, Yahweh Shalom. All right, this is something I pulled up here a little earlier. Just a little quick. I guess really this can fall into the category of an AI chat. But it's just a question that popped in my head, and always, I like to see what AI will say, when you ask it certain questions. So the question here is, how would the system work if Palantir pre-crime system were operative? All right, so basically that's what I asked it. If the Palantir system was up and running and operating, right now, real time, what would it look like? What would it be like? Okay, so this is what it says here. If Palantir's pre-crime system were fully operative, it will function as a sophisticated data mining and predictive analytics platform, similar to the fictional system depicted in Minority Report. Okay, now if you haven't seen Minority Report, pretty good movie. Tom Cruise was a star in that movie. Pretty good movie. He was a pretty much a hypocritical cop, because the whole system here, in the movie, was these people, they were like special beings or whatever you want to call them. Okay, I mean, they were like regular people that could force it together by themselves. They weren't much, okay, except for this one chick, I believe, the one that he kind of kidnapped. But all three of them together is how they would get these visions and foresee a crime before it would happen. And Tom Cruise character, I don't remember the name of his character, but Tom Cruise was a part of the police unit that when the visions happened, okay, he was one of the main guys that would be called up, okay, and when he's looks like something just flashing, all kinds of colors up there. Could be a star, could be cherry, I'm not sure, but it's definitely twinkling. It looks red, blue, I don't know, and it's stationary. If it's a cherry, then hey, the White House from shot. But if it's a star, hey, equally nice, because But anyways, let's not get off point. So yeah, in the movie, um, so he was a part of the cop unit that would get the vision from those people, okay, and basically every time they would get it, it would give them the name. Like there'll be like these two marbles or whatever, um, and it'll have two names on each. Obviously, one the victim, one the so-called perpetrator, and so-called because they haven't committed the crime yet. Okay, so they would go shoot to the scene, grab up whatever individual, the so-called suspect, before they created the crime. So they haven't even did the crime yet, but they will take them away and actually charge them without them actually ever doing the crime. Okay, and the reason why I call Tom Cruise a hypocrite is because when his name came up, his name popped up for pre-murder. Okay, then all of a sudden he goes against the system, and he's doing any and everything else to prove his innocence. But yet, when it came to other people, he did not. He didn't have a problem locking them up. But that's neither here nor there. The point is the pre-crime system, where they would get the visions and foresee a crime before it would happen. Then the special unit would spring to action and lock the person up before they even committed the crime. Okay, and that's what this whole Palantir system was centered around, which is why the movie Minority Report is mentioned here. Okay, and this is not just a thing. This is something that Esau is trying to bring forth and spring into action. Now, I don't know exactly how it's going to work in real life versus how the movie, because the movie is one thing for seeing the crime, but in real life it's not going to be exactly like the movie, but it's probably going to be pretty close, I'm pretty sure. Otherwise they wouldn't be trying to pull this thing out from Palantir. Okay, and like the scriptures say, which we always quote when we go into AI chat, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. All right, ignorant means to not know. Satan, the name of the word Satan in the Hebrew is Shaitan, all right, which means adversary. Okay, getting advantage of us, all right, pulling the wool over your eyes, all right, for we're not ignorant of his devices, and this is one of his devices. Okay, like looking up at the lighting. I mean, there's stars out, but that one is like just it's not. It doesn't look like the other ones. I mean, it's too far for me to tell. Anyways, let's keep going. The system would operate by collecting and integrating vast amounts of data from diverse sources. And check this out, all right? Because the system would operate by collecting and integrating, okay, vast amounts of data from diverse sources, different sources, including police records. Look, this is a major one because they've been talking about this a lot lately, over the Carly Cirque situation. Okay, the Carly Cirque deletion. Um, People who were being flagged, losing their jobs because they voiced their opinion about Carly Cirque. Okay, basically those that either said that they were happy about it, or even if they didn't say, they said they didn't care at all. All right, these people are getting flagged and then losing their job. Okay, over this one Edomite, but he's a major log in the fire. All right, you have a fire. Okay, fireplace, you throw the log in there, or even like you're in the wilderness. All right, you gather up those dry, you know, brush and twigs and stuff, and to keep it going, okay, you gotta keep feeding it, okay, until it comes that to a point comes where that fire is pretty stable. So Carly Cert was a major log in the fire there because they are definitely using his supposed alleged deletion to step forward in their whole agenda. And so social media has been a major target of things right now because they want to ultimately stop the prophets from prophesying. Okay, that's the major thorn in their side. Every time a video goes out, okay, it's like somebody's poking a spear in their side. Okay, the prophets are a thorn in Esau's side, so they want to crack down on, like, and I'll say that always on them. Okay, it seems like it goes away, but it doesn't go away when it comes to freedom of speech and all these types of things. And they speak about hate speech and free thinkers and all this kind of stuff like that. That's an agenda that they work on in the background. And when they have something they can pull out, they'll pull it out. But otherwise, you don't really hear about it, but it doesn't go away. It's just something that they constantly work on in the background because the ultimate, you know, stopping of speech is they want to stop the mouths of the prophets, man. Okay. So let's read this again. Collecting and integrating vast amounts of data from diverse sources, including police records. Okay, so if you have a police record, because not everybody has a police record, but if you have a police record, okay, they're going to grab that, and then they're going to check out what your social media. Okay, see what you post, what your thoughts are, because it's supposed to be. Look, man, this is the funny thing. It's supposed to be a country of freedom of speech. Okay, but yet they're trying to crack down on you freely speaking your mind on certain issues. Because if they say they don't like it, then obviously it's automatically wrong. Okay, and so a lot of places, or the main place where people are voicing a lot of their opinions, is on social media. Okay, but not everybody has a police record. But if you do, that's just extra point for them. Social media. Almost everybody has a social media. Mobile phone data. Okay, almost everybody has a mobile phone. All right, you can see homeless people with mobile phones. Okay, and these are all, remember, this is all collection of data. Okay, to be compiled together to get them, which really is a whole part of why they keep talking about a digital identity. See, because once you have that digital identity, they know exactly who you are, everything about you, all your history, and whatever else they need and want to know. And potentially other personal information. Yeah, they don't say what other is, but other could be a vast amount of things. To create comprehensive, because probably get your phone number, your house address, your job, and all these different things. To create comprehensive, see, look, to create comprehensive profiles of individuals and identify patterns indicative of future criminal activity. Okay, so if you have a criminal background already and you talking fancy, well, they're gonna easily they can easily pounce on you. But now when you look through all the weeds, in the field, and you really think about it, well, it comes down to the point where you got to think about the ministry, all right? The prophets, man. Okay. um because they're really going to try to put the blame on the prophets. Okay. As a whole, they don't care what camp you're with, even though some camps don't even have the full truth because they go off in some of the doctrine. They're still going to try to paint us as a whole. Okay. And so um their main like we said, the main thorn in their side is the prophet. So their main target is always the ministry. So at some point, however they're going to try to do it, okay, they want to put some kind of blame, just like they try to do with Yahweh Shah. They're going to try to put some kind of blame on the ministry, and then they'll say, hey, uh, um, you teach this, and that's not right, or that's hate speech, and da 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 da, and they're gonna try to come down on the prophets, which also includes you that say you are believers, because you don't have to be a prophet, because as a matter of fact, you can be a female, but they know what you click on when you share a video, or when you because you might have some sisters that maybe like listening to certain men, and what they'll do is they'll share the video, or maybe they repost the video on their channel, whatever the case may be. So you don't have to be a male figure, you don't have to be a prophet. Okay, you can be a female. They're going to know that you were linked to this individual here. um no matter how far up, or the chain it goes, it doesn't really matter. If that person is teaching the truth, and you watch them, you subscribe to them, you like the videos, you share them, you repost, or whatever the case may be. um whatever, because maybe you someone who sends a man something, maybe you send him articles that you might see, maybe you share visions with him so you can speak about it as a prophet, whatever the case may be. You're going to be somehow linked right back. Okay, and they're going to say that you have the potential, because this is deemed as hate speech, right? You're speaking hate. Okay, really, it's just because really, to say those that teach it are the prophets. But I was just throwing the women in there because you're not going to be free from that them pointing the finger at you either. But yeah, so to get back to it, you would just say prophets to generalize everything. They're going to say, hey, what you teach is deemed a hate speech or whatever, even though we just teach the truth of the Bible. Okay. And this, we don't like this. Okay. You're teaching that, and there you go. So that means that you have the identity and the patterns of someone who may commit a future crime. See, that's how easy it's going to be. This data will be analyzed using advanced algorithms to generate hotspots on maps, indicating areas with a high statistical probability of crime, and to flag individuals, we just mentioned flagging, right? And to flag individuals deemed to, hold on, let me slow down. This data would be analyzed using advanced algorithms to generate hotspots on maps. Okay, so we're going to see where the most camps are, biggest camps are. Oh man, it's because some of these camps, they think it's all about numbers. Okay, so if it's about the numbers to you, guess what? Hey, you're going to be caught up in this mess, and they're going to see like, oh wow, there's a lot of them here. Oh wow, there's a group of them that were in the park training, looking all militant. Okay, and wherever else, it doesn't really matter if it's not a big number of men, but they're going to generate hot spots on maps, indicating areas with a high statistical probability of crime, and to flag individuals deemed to be at high risk of committing or becoming victims of crimes. And that's why it's so important, you know, when you, which really you only hear it from the great millstone on down, but constantly talk of, or not constantly, but speaking, have spoken of camps that go out to camps, that go out, to the streets with sticks and staves. You're acting militant. Um, you're not behaving, like the scriptures say, if possible, be at peace with all men. Instead, is brother, brother, sister, sister, this, and then every person that looks like they have red skin, oh, Edomite, devil, and you're not really, playing the character like Yahweh Shah told you to be wise as serpents, harmless as doves. Okay, it's not going to kill you to smile at a Edomite looking person, because for all you know, it could be an Edomite, but you chose the right path of how to deal with the situation. But it could be someone who looks like an Edomite, but actually an Israelite, and so you don't want to be acting crappy towards that person, you know. But there's some camps that don't get that because they think that the Israelites are just a dark-skinned people because maybe just dug into history, but they don't understand future prophecy of how we will be scattered. So you will have Israelites that look like all the nations, man, but they're not. Okay, so it's like for example, it could be a random event that just happened with some Chinese people. Now all of a sudden, every Chinese person you see, yeah, you chinky eyed, gook or whatever, you know, and you're not knowing that, hey, this person is an Israelite. Okay, so some camps don't get that. Some people in the world don't get that. They don't understand that. Okay, that's why the Lord had the parable about the wheats and the tares, man. It's like, no, 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 chill out, chill out. Because if you do that, okay, you're gonna weed them all up. And I need to leave. Okay, I want my wheat. Okay, and I'm gonna burn up the tares when times be. Because once you wheat out the field, okay, the tares are useless. All right, so you have to burn that down, so you can start the next you know move on, to your next field and rotate however you want to do it, because it's just worthless. Okay, tares are worthless. But let's keep going. For law enforcement, this would mean officers could be dispatched to specific locations or to monitor individuals before a crime has occurred. So wait a minute. So to monitor someone before a crime has occurred means you're gonna have regular police, I guess. I don't know, or maybe just gonna leave it. But what I was about to say, regular police doing detective work. Okay, because I guess they're all somewhat detective, but they only have the title of detective. All right, because real, because police do have to do some kind of questioning and stuff like that. But detectives are detectives, right? They're what do they call them? The gumshoes, right? Crime sleuths, old Batmans. Okay, so in order to monitor someone before a crime has occurred, that means you're already on their heels. Okay, doing what detectives do. Okay, riding by in unmarked cars, okay, Jeeps and trucks and cars that look like normal citizens, but if you look close enough, there's something in their license plates that'll give it away. It's like, that license plate ain't regular, or are the numbers regular, okay, or that antenna on, because they used to do that a lot back in the days, but you can know because they'll have the black ass tints on their windows and this antenna that's different from all regular car antennas. Like, oh no, that's an undercover cop. Okay, but then you have the ones that are really undercover. So I've seen that before coming back. I think I was dealing with this chick out of town, and I was coming back, and I saw this what was it? A Jeep, like a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Okay, and it had nothing to indicate that it was an undercover car, down to the fact that it didn't even have the tinted windows. But because it was at this highway situation, the lights were flashing. I was like, wow, this is regular, But they have cars like that, regular cars that you can tell if you look close enough. But then they stepped up the game so much where they have regular cars that you can't tell unless you actually saw the lights. So but let's get back on point. Um, yep. Dispatched to specific locations or to monitor individuals before a crime has occurred based on algorithmic prediction. Yeah, everything that is set up above. We're gonna compile all this information from you and get your little this I guess you could just say biometric. I was trying to find a different word to say. What this digital identity? There you go. That's been better. This digital identity of you. Okay, and then we're gonna figure out the next step. So based on algorithmic predictions, all those things that they gather, especially from what we set up here, social media, right? Um, Jumping back down. For example, in Iraq, the Pentagon utilized Palantir software. Excuse me. For example, in Iraq, the Pentagon utilized Palantir software to predict patterns in roadside bomb deployments, enabling them to identify and neutralize threats before they materialized. Similarly, the LAPD has used Palantir to predict who might commit a crime, leading to interventions based on these predictions. See, so LAPD supposedly has used this before on a lesser level. The system could also, but they're not saying about how successful or not it was. I don't know. The system could also rapidly process DNA samples. Wow, wow. The system could also rapidly process DNA samples and fingerprint evidence, which I mean anyone can have fingerprint. Um, even if you've never been locked up before, you gotta think about it because I'm not sure if they still do it or not. Because I don't have no babies. Okay, so but they you used to see the footprint of a baby and stuff like that. Um, I don't know if they do the handprint or whatever, but you know everybody has like like on your fingertip or your thumb or whatever. Everybody's what do you call it? I just say fingerprint, but that pattern on your finger, it's unique to everybody. All right. It could be 100,000 people on Earth or 100 billion people on Earth. Everybody's fingerprint patterns are going to be different. Okay, so those fingerprint patterns are very important. That's why when they lock people up, okay, if it's your first time, okay, they're gonna roll your hand on that black stuff, and well, they probably, I don't know, maybe they got technology upgraded now, but they're definitely gonna get your fingerprint. This is basically the point I'm trying to make. Your first time ever getting locked up, they will take your fingerprint sample because you're not in their system. This is a way to know who you are now. So if you have a future crime and there's some way that we can identify you, let's see if we can run a fingerprint scan. Oh, it matches this one. Oh, what's the name there? Okay, so you are in the system. So we got you. We know who you are now. Now we can see how we can proceed. Oh, you got a long list of crimes. Oh yeah. So the fingerprints are handy to them. Not saying like I'm saying that's a good thing. I'm just saying to them, it's handy. The system could also rapidly process DNA samples and fingerprint evidence, providing near instantaneous results to field agents, see, thereby reducing the time it takes to identify suspects and prevent them from relocating. Yeah, I'm gonna catch you before you hit the back door on me. However, however, such a system would also face significant criticisms and ethical challenges. Concerns would include potential violations of privacy and informational self-determination, as well as telecommunications secrecy, due to the extensive data analysis involved. Critics argue that the opaque nature of Palantir's algorithms could lead to discriminatory effects, as facial recognition software, for instance, has been shown to be less accurate for certain demographics. Wait a minute now. Hold on, let me go back. Critics argue that the opaque nature of Palantir's algorithms can lead to discriminatory effects, as facial recognition software, for instance, has been shown to be less accurate for certain demographics. Well, what demographics? Okay, is it less accurate for Edomites, or is it less accurate for Jakes? So, you there's many ways that it can go, right? There are also concerns that predictive policing could reinforce existing biases and lead to the militarization of urban areas. But Trump's already somewhat doing that now. And we gotta say we saved LA. Okay, we saved LA. We're gonna save Chicago. We're losing Chicago. Crime there, this and that. Look at what we did to DC. It's just all that talk. You just be, flabbergasted, okay? But yeah, federalization of the troops, man. And he's using what? Crime as his prime backdrop, okay? On top of, whatever else that he throws in there, into the fire. But crime is the major backdrop. And Palantir lines up perfectly with crime. Because it says what? There are also concerns that predictive policing could reinforce existing biases and lead to the militarization of urban areas, creating heightened suspicion and fear. Yeah, because you got this cop saying that you ask him, well, officer, what did I do? Okay, you might be going or wherever, I don't know, officer, what did I do? Well, we feel that given the what our system, the data, showed in our system, we feel that you may commit a crime. Like, nigga, please. But this is, I mean, this is where it's going though. I mean, and really without Palantir, what do you think ICE is already doing to the Northern Kingdom? Because they have the accent, okay, or because they look a certain way, okay? They're throwing in demographics. They're throwing in whatever else, okay? Is basically racial profiling, man. Okay, they're already doing that to the Northern Kingdom without Palantir. But with the help of Palantir, they can also do it to the Southern Kingdom and make it more effective with Northern Kingdom. Because they're already doing it to the North, okay? Just stopping them for no reason. Or you got an accent, or, show me your ID. Where you headed to? It's just like the slave days. Where you headed to, boy? You know? Where you going, boy? If you didn't have them slave papers, all right? And it's worse now though. It ain't like the slavery days. Because if you had that, I think I talked about that. I don't know, earlier, yesterday. It was sometime, I believe I brought that up. But if you didn't have those slave papers, you might ended up, back in the spiritual realm, hung from a tree somewhere. But if you had the slave papers, they might cock their rifle and spit at your feet. Yeah, going out here, boy. You're lucky this time, because because they didn't want to face no backlash from Master Thomas, okay, or whatever, because that was his slave, and they put his slave to death. Then they're gonna owe him, or whatever the case may be, because we were seen as property, right? And so now what? We got these. You gotta have driver's license or at least an ID, social security card, green card, all this stuff. But now what's happening with in particular with the Northern Kingdom? They're getting pulled over, and the IDs are not helping them. We got ID, but we're still in a boot camp, or getting sent to a FEMA camp. All right, we got ID, but we're still getting deported. Okay, and that's why I talked about earlier, where they're saying that they're raising the bar for the knowledge of people that want to come be U.S. citizens. But it's like, well, hell, if I got a family member that's already here legally and working here legally, and they're getting deported, why the hell would I want to come here and pass the test when the same thing might happen to me? Just come to your country legally and then ended up getting deported anyways. So yeah, their IDs are not helping them. Okay, where they're headed at is not helping them. Where they go to church to is not helping them. Where they work at is not helping them. Where they be on the table or under the table is not helping them, because ICE is picking them up anyways. Okay. So it could lead to the militarization of urban areas, creating heightened suspension and fear, particularly in already vulnerable communities. Yeah, like the hoods, right? The ghettos, the barrios. See? And that's what they wanted for anyways, because their target are you Israelites, man. And that's the main thing. But we just earlier we had to throw in there, speaking about the ministry, because that's their main target. All right, we got to shut down the prophets, and then we can roll downhill with all these other Israelites. The system's ability to aggregate, because the 2/3 they're going to be either put to death or rehabilitated anyways. And when I say rehabilitated, I mean they're going to be fitted and kitted with a micro C hip. Okay, then you're going to have a number of them who are going to just be put to death, and then there's going to be a number of them who are going to be sent to war, and they're going to go to death there, and which that leaves what? The women and the children. Okay, and whatever is going to happen to them is going to happen to them. The woman is weak, so she's either going to take the C hip, or she's going to end up being put to death, or maybe out here and be she might get raped to death. Children eating whatever. It's going to be crazy time in Chicken Struggle. But let's keep going, because we're at the bottom. The system's ability to aggregate sensitive data on individuals across various agencies also raises questions about potential misuse and the blurring of lines between military and domestic policing tactics. Yeah, and that's what they want to do. It's about misuse, all right? If they weren't adamant about their new world order and their new way, all right, then they wouldn't be trying to bring the system out. Okay, so you can say misuse all you want, but it is what it is. Okay, that's exactly what they're doing. Okay, and mainly it's over you Israelites, but ultimately these bankers, these so-called elites, don't care about their own people. So of course you can already add the rest of the nations to the category. They want to come down and put everybody in their subjection. But just the main people are the Israelites, because the Israelites are the ones standing in the way, and that begins with the prophets. And Palantir is just the doorway into opening up this major policing system and mass surveillance, and being able to profile people, whether it be racially or not. All right, but profiling people, and so on and so forth. You kind of get the point by now. So yeah, it is what it is. Um, and it's pretty much, this is something that I popped up earlier. I didn't get to read the second half, so those last two paragraphs were interesting. I just read that first top half, but there you go. I popped in. What was the question? I don't remember. Oh yeah, how would the system work if Palantir pre-crime system were operative? Okay, so basically that's what AI said. If this system was up and to go right now, this is what it would look like. Okay, but that's pretty much it for this AI chat. So Lord willing, you will edify to next time. I'm going to say shalom.